If I sound like I'm rambling, well, that's exactly what I'm doing. It's okay, though. It's what I do, not what I decided to start doing. Sitting here in an old, squeaky chair. Abandoned base of some sort. Well, maybe it's a base. Hospital. I think it's a base. There's some weapons here. Small, though, just one building. Probably an old chain link fence or some posts up. But fence is gone. So, you may or may not want to know about what happened. Well, I'm going to tell you anyway. People thought it was going to be global thermonuclear war, maybe? Well, that was a term that popped up. I can tell you right now, I don't know any of this firsthand. Happened, 150 years ago. 150, maybe. You'd have to ask someone who knows a lot more about history than me. I know some history. But they stopped printing history books when it happened. People just keep track of time on. Anyway, the general agreement is that it happened. Definitely happened. It wasn't thermonuclear war. Definitely not. It wasn't biological either. No, not purely biological. It wasn't a virus. People think it's the virus that... You think about it. In the old days, they had places where lots of people would gather. You know, a mall, maybe. A mall. It was with a bunch of stores. Kind of like an open market, except it wasn't open. It was a big building. I've seen them, you know. There weren't any bombs. There weren't any, no bombs. No bombs, no viruses. And all you'd have to do is have one person walk into a bomb, a mall, or an airport. Incoming, outgoing. Someone infected, bam. Everything they touch has a virus on it. Everyone who touches that, well, they're infected. It goes on and on and on. I guess an airport would be especially effective. So the virus could go out everywhere. But anyway. Yeah, it wasn't a bomb. It wasn't a virus. The way it worked, see, people back then, they came up with more and more destructive ways to do stuff, but radiation is a really effective killer. Because, back then, there wasn't a cure for radiation. If you've been radiated, well, you're radiated. You're done. You're cooked, literally. But, radiation, yeah. Anyway, that's what it was. Radiation. But it wasn't from bombs. Nah. Maybe there's more effective ways to distribute radiation than that. What they did, apparently, was they had these big planes, real big planes. The stuff you see from, big planes. That's all you really need to know. And they had these packets, container. It had basically powdered pure radiation in it. I know there's some sort of carrier, but this stuff is heavy radiation. and they would send out the radiation. And the stuff would go flying. They use like some of the planes, they just drop the stuff, high up in the clouds. And then once it's in the cloud, it gets in the water in there and rain, presto, instant radiation wherever that rain goes. Some of them were on weather balloons or something, weather balloons. They get lighter than air gases inside the big balloon. Sometimes like a foil, really thin foil, in balloon shape. Maybe sometimes foil, sometimes in a plastic, a little lighter than air stuff. Anyway, whenever a balloon popped, it would trigger a sensor and spread this stuff out. I mean, this is all. There's no concrete evidence that I've ever seen for them. Twisted wreckage, sure, but it happened. Yeah, radiation went everywhere, and no one knew what it was at first. When people's hair started falling out. Some of the experts at the time, they had wars back and forth between, well, this expert says this expert says that. It was divided about halfway. Half thought it was radiation of some sort, and half thought it was biological warfare. A plague, if you will. I say it was a plague either way. Radiation's a plague. It's widespread enough. Pandemic, epidemic. But the ones that thought it was biological, well, they say, no, you see, it can't be radiation for these reasons, and blah, blah, blah. As their hair falls out. That's the first thing to go is your hair, generally. Skin. And this stuff was pretty powerful. Radiation was. You'd be chugging along, zooming about your daily business. All of a sudden, your hair falls out. You're thinking, wow, this isn't any good. That's the way I assume it happened. That's what the records say. People always write stuff down. There's always records. People really panicked when it first started happening. Like I said, there's the experts who are battling back and forth, but in the end, it didn't really matter who was right and who was wrong. Incidentally, the guys who thought it was radiation were right, but oh well. They died anyway.